What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Drippy Drippy. Appreciate you taking the time to make it all the way to SOMA with a Therapist Part 9. My sense is that this is going to be the final episode, so I would like to thank you ahead of time for making it all the way through this series and supporting it in the way that you have. Thank you for all the subs to the channel. Thank you for the thumbs ups along the way. Thank you for the comments. It's been really enjoyable to read the comments. If you've been watching this series as it's been going along, thanks for keeping up with it. If you're watching this many years in the future, I hope that you've been enjoying binging it or watching it in the way that you have. This has been a super enjoyable experience to play this game and have these conversations with y'all. And I'm very excited to see what happens next. Hopefully by now you've hit the thumbs up button and you've subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, I ask that you please do that. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the playthrough, all that fun stuff. I'll do a bit of a discussion during the credits. So let's go. Let's take the arc over to Phi. This thing's big and heavy. Hopefully there's no more monsters. Not good. Not good. Oh, look, this thing conveniently has an arc place here. Waiting for cargo. Cargo, ARC 001, type payload, weight 20 kilograms. User C. Chun. Waiting for cargo. Oh, I guess I gotta... Alright. It's only the entire memory of humanity. That's all it is. Just all in this little box. And you've got a faulty water lock. This is fun. Flood mechanism malfunction. Sequence halted, unable to equalize pressure. Good! Good, this is great. This is what we wanted. Catherine! A little help, please? Glad I'm so big and strong, healthy boy. I can pull these pipes out. Oh man, we gotta trust this. Oh boy. Oh baby. Okay. This appears to be some kind of service tunnel to Phi, I guess. I mean, they had to have anticipated that this is how they were going to transport this. Oh god, it's going faster! Oh god! Ah! Let's go, Simon. Book it, buddy. Oh, thank God that hole's there. Okay, well. Good. All right. Great. Awesome. By the way, Simon, when you put the Ark into the storage unit, it's going to be put on a monorail system. Don't freak out. It's still intact, and it's going to make it to Phi just fine. Just wanted to let you know because you're probably not expecting that it's going to be on a claw thing and go down a monorail, and it's really healthy for us to have experiences that align with our expectations so that we don't get anxious and panic when something happens that we weren't expecting was going to happen. Thanks, Catherine. That was very mature of you to think about it that way. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'd still want to know who the hell that guy is. We're so close now. Hurry. Climb into this hole. Jesus, man. Knows my name. This is where it all went wrong, Simon. Site Alpha. I wonder if this is where the WoW is housed, because there's a lot of WoW shit here. Man, this all looks super old. Wow. All right, yeah. This is pretty spooky. I mean, I would be worried that there's other life forms here. Unfortunately, we can't talk to Catherine until we put her into a machine. This is not like a thing where it's not like a Master Chief where I can hook Cortana into my helmet. So we'd have to find a working computer that can take her in. This looks like some kind of server room. I would love to know what Catherine knows about Site Alpha, though.
Tell me what you want.
I need you to stop the WoW.
What? How?
The enslaved protein sloshing around your suit is the noose from which the WoW will hang itself.
What are you talking about?
As soon as I came to in Omicron, I tried to tell them to make the toxin that would make the WoW wither, but they didn't understand. They put it inside my cabinet. It's so infuriating. They needed to take it to Alpha, the fountainhead of the misery we created. And then the girl, she figured it out. She was going to take care of it, but the WoW shrieked. They all died. You took the gel from the cabinet and made yourself into a venomous snake.
You're saying this toxin inside of me can kill the WoW altogether?
You are the snake, Simon. Now strike at the heart.
Just a hypothesis. Don't know how true this is. Do not confirm or deny this, chat. But it seems like that might be Johan. Because Johan, we heard recordings of his voice. Johan had an English accent, dialect, and so does this thing. So I think this might be Johan. Johan Ross is whose office we went into when we were over at Tau. Don't know for sure, but that's my hypothesis. I kind of hope we'll find out. Makes me wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to who he was. But he has the same dialect. But it's kind of... So what's weird about this is, if it is, whether it's Johan or not, is kind of inconsequential to where my mind's at right now. What's interesting to me is that this is a person that has been kept alive by the WoW, at least as far as I can tell. And I find it fascinating that the WoW, in keeping this person alive, has not necessarily infiltrated this person's thoughts. Because why would the WoW want to perpetuate a body that's interested in its own demise? So it really tells me, to an extent, that the WoW is limited. Like, it very much is limited to the code. And it's very much limited to an overly simplistic protocol of preserve life. But I don't know that it has any understanding of what that actually means, nor any way to qualify it. WoW Core Isolation Laboratory. But if consciousness is something that can continue to thrive if the vessel it's in is running, which I guess theoretically would be true, then a WoW-piloted vessel wouldn't be much different than the suit that I'm in, right? Like, I have this stuff in me. The WoW is in me. It's continuing to keep me alive, and I still have my consciousness. So it would stand to reason that that applies for anybody else. So Johan would have his same convictions despite the fact that he's being preserved. All right, let's see. Oh, what have we here?
What the hell is that?
Heart. It controls all the structure gel on Pathos 2. All you need to do is poison the imprint, and the heart will unwillingly spread it across Pathos 2, killing it. Feed it, Simon. Push your arm into the heart. Come on. Do it.
Where are you? I'd love to ask you more questions. All right, as we stare at this...
Don't let the WoW continue producing its filth. Kill it.
Take it easy.
Well, I was going to have a stare at the pulsating butthole while we make this decision, but... Okay. I got to take a second, and I got to collect my thoughts from everything that we have learned up until this point about the WoW, at least our understanding of it. Current understanding of the WoW is that it was an AI that was created with a mandate. That mandate is that it is to preserve life at all costs. In some ways, it's taken this to mean reanimation of corpses. In other cases, it has meant that it recognizes that a biologic is dying and it does what it can to preserve that biologic's life. When we were in Tau, we saw various manifestations of that. Honestly, throughout the playthrough, we've seen various manifestations of that. Where there was the woman that said, the WoW won't let me die. There are robots that have been kept alive by the WoW. There were people in Tau that have been kept alive by the WoW. So its entire directive is to do that. Here's the tricky part about that, is it doesn't appear that the WoW is interested, because it really couldn't be, because it's limited by its programming, in nuance. Meaning that the WoW seems to say, I'm going to preserve life no matter the quality of that person's life. It seems to me that some of the humans that we've come across that were being preserved by the WoW are miserable, or like husks. The ones that have been conscious enough to talk to us have essentially said, please end it. Pull the plug. So, is that actually useful to us? As far as we know, the last human is lying dead in life support of Tau right now. So any additional lives that are going to be kept going by the WoW are going to be either reanimated corpses or are going to be people who have already been preserved by the WoW and appear to be miserable with zero quality of life. Something that has stood out to me throughout this entire playthrough is that essentially any time that we have killed somebody, aside from when Wong was in the machine simulation, it's essentially been a mercy kill. I don't really know what purpose there is to keeping the WoW around, because humanity is gone. The Ark is a preservation of consciousness. It's a preservation of memory. But people cannot reproduce because it's just consciousness on a microchip. It's a shared experience. So, like, it's not like humans are going to repopulate. It's not like we're shooting the Ark out toward another habitable planet and embryos are going to pop out of that little box that we just sent down the rail. Humanity's done. If we're to believe that a comet hit the surface. I mean, what would really be an absolute mind screw here would be if there was no comet and we're just in some sick joke. And we're just down at the bottom of the ocean. And there's totally normal shit happening up above. Project Zero Dawn has completed. Aloy's running around. Everything's all hunky-dory, and I'm just at the bottom of the ocean dealing with this bullshit. But as far as we know, if we're to believe everything that we've come across, a meteor or a comet hit the Earth, life as we know it up at the surface is done, and humans don't exist anymore. So this really does ask a very important question, which is, when can humans wrap their minds around the fact that they're fucked? Like, we have this survival instinct that has gotten channeled into really really strong philosophy on the idea that humanity as a species needs to continue to perpetuate and propagate itself, even if the Earth no longer becomes habitable. So we've developed this technological means to download people's consciousness or copy people's consciousness onto an ark that we don't even know if it works or not because we're not on the ark. This could very well be a dud. And humanity's gone. And so this WoW was created to try to preserve life, but it's doing it at the expense of quality. So if we were to maybe subscribe to the natural order of things, if we take the WoW out, it will allow the Earth to re-evolve if it's going to do that. Like if there's going to be evolution that continues on the planet, perhaps another species somewhat like humans finds itself out of the water at some point. Cool. Right? Like if this is going to shut down the WoW and all the life that's been preserved is either going to die or is going to like live out its lifespan and not be kept alive in some ways against its own will, that doesn't sound too bad. It sounds like a very merciful act. Because again, we don't even have a humanity to keep alive at this point. The WoW is no longer serving any purpose other than to create misery among the people that are currently sitting on the surface of the Earth. So if we subscribe to that idea, which really I do, I don't really see a purpose in continuing to keep, in having the WoW continue on. Particularly if a person that is, as far as I can tell, controlled by the WoW is saying, please, for the love of God, kill it. Hell, at this point, I seem to be, aside from those like zombie husks that are walking around, I seem to be the only person walking around this place at the bottom of the ocean that even has a level of consciousness. That's a lot of power for me to take on here. But we're preserving the memory of humanity at this point. We're not preserving humanity. So, I mean, this feels like a pretty easy choice to me. I don't really see the point of allowing the WoW to continue. Especially because, like, this whole place is going to fall apart. Like, everywhere we've gone is falling apart. So then what happens? So what? This thing preserves life down at the bottom of the ocean. All of these structures collapse, and then the literal weight of the ocean crushes everybody, and that's it? We all go out in one big ocean gate? I mean, that doesn't sound particularly great either. I mean, this sucks no matter what. Every option here sucks. So this seems pretty easy for me. I wish I knew more about this person who's telling me to do it.
Just force your arm inside it.
Back off, okay?
What's going to happen when I force my arm in it? Am I going to die? See, this is the only real, like, caveat here. Up until this point, people haven't exactly been particularly honest with me, and I don't know that I have reason to believe that I'm going to survive this. So if I really get into Simon's shoes here, I have to ask myself a question, which is, am I potentially willing to sacrifice myself to take the WoW out? Like, is this thing gonna just suck my blood out and then I'm gonna die? And then the WoW is shut down? I actually don't know that that's terrible. That doesn't sound bad. Like, this place sucks. I don't really know what point there is in me continuing on. Honestly, at this point, it really seems like the only thing that even would be remotely interesting to me would be if I had the opportunity, which is, I don't think I do, is if I had the opportunity to copy myself onto the Ark before we launch it into space and then, hope that my consciousness continues on. But then again, I leave this vessel behind with consciousness on it to have to deal with all of this. Like, it just really sucks. Am I willing to make that sacrifice and just let the Ark maybe sit at the bottom of the ocean forever? I mean, it really is easy to get very nihilistic on this. Like, does any of this matter? Is the Ark even going to work? And thus, it's not as easy of a decision as I thought. I mean, one of the beauties about nihilism, there's There's two types of nihilism that you can subscribe to if you choose. There's the type of nihilism that says nothing matters, so what's the point? And then there's the type of nihilism that says nothing matters, so you get to decide what matters. And existence right now for me, Simon, is pain. Like, if I don't kill the WoW, and I go and I launch the Ark and I copy myself, or don't. I mean, this is the thing. Like, look at this. If I don't kill the WoW and I go to launch the Ark, then what? I just got to sit down here. I mean, I suppose I could make my way back here, and I could shove my arm into the WoW at that point after I've made sure that the Ark's been launched into space. Or do I stick my hand in the WoW on the off chance that everything, that it shuts the WoW down for some very heady philosophical reason of like, let's just let the planet continue to evolve in the way that it does. And if I survive that, then I go and I deal with the same circumstance. If I die, well, I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. I mean, it's a ridiculously hard decision in that respect. I have to ask myself the question, is it worth risking my life and what I know right now to shut down something that I have no idea what the implications of it are? Or do I leave it stand, go launch the Ark, and then make the decision? And so what I think I would do here, now that I've sufficiently talked myself through this, is I think I leave the WoW alone. And I think I give I give myself a chance or do... Oh, fuck me, man. There's so many things that I want to know. I want to know if I can end my life in the Ark. If I even can make it on the Ark. I don't know if I can. Because if you're asking me to make the choice between death now and eternal life, I don't know that I want eternal life. Like, it's super weird to think about that. I mean, that's a really... Because, like, if you told me I could live for another 300 years and shut it off, cool. And maybe at some point, I suppose at that point, the machine that the Ark is on... Oh, no, she said it could last thousands of years because of the way that it's going to be powered by, I guess, solar, or I don't even know. I mean, I guess at some point it all ends because the energy on that runs out. And I don't know that it's going to kill me. Oh my God. This is true. I mean, truly. Now, the more that I've really thought this out and fleshed it out, this is hard. And this is why it's important, by the way, friends, to think things through. I mean, if there's anything that I want to really illustrate here, it's the meta of what's happening for me right now. At first glance, sometimes things appear to be an easy decision, and sometimes people will engage on something to avoid the intensity and the ambiguity of actually thinking about it. I could have walked up to this thing and said, you know what? Yeah, seems like a good idea. Shut this thing down, see what happens, work with variables. You know, whatever happens, happens, and shove my hand in and then die. Right? Or I could take a second and actually evaluate for myself, what are all of the variables I'm working with here? And then now I have to deal with a real difficult decision and moral conundrum. But making an impulsive decision as an act of avoidance to critical thought is incredibly unhealthy. So this is why it's important to stop and think for a beat, because then you start to realize that things are more complex than they seem, but now you're working with more variables and you make more of an informed decision. I can only work with known variables. The problem is the known variables suck. The known variables suck. What I know right now is that I have a very ambiguous thing telling me to stick my arm in that butthole, and that I somehow possess the venom to stop what it's doing. That's all I know, is that he's told me that that's what could happen. I don't know for sure that that's what's going to happen. I also know that the Ark is on its way to Phi. I know that Catherine appears to be confident that we can launch it into space. I don't even know that we can do that. I mean, really, the reality is I know that this thing is right here. That's what I know. Whether I could come back to it, and self-preservation is an important factor here. I don't know if there are people up at the surface. I don't know how miserable the people being controlled by the WoW are. I can make a hypothesis that they are. But do I take the unknown variable of how this affects other people versus the known variable of how this affects me? Do I want to take the risk of dying here? Or do I want to push forward and see what happens with the Ark? What do I want to do here? I mean, really, the ultimate proposition here is, do I want to take a risk at dying right now? I don't know that dying would be so bad. Even if I get copied into the Ark, the me is going to remain here. I'm willing to risk death here. If I die, I don't got to worry about this anymore.
Please, Simon.
If I live, then I can make a decision.
Please. I did what you wanted.
You did good, Simon. But you can't leave. The only way to make sure the WoW stays dead is to destroy the only one who's immune to the new pattern. Don't worry. I'll make it quick.
Oh, God!
See ya. Well, I'm not gonna step on that hole. Alright, so I lived. I lost my hand, but I lived. Okay. So, alright. Fine. Took the WoW out. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. But I was willing to take the risk. I lived. So, new pattern. Don't know what that means. That guy's dead. Whatever. Hopefully this did what it... I hope I'm right-handed. Yeah. Really sucks to not have a hand, but I don't really know what I was going to use it for anyway. No! Woo! Yeah. Nope, don't turn around and look. Just keep going, Simon. Just kidding. Turn around and look. I don't even know if it's safe to touch these buttholes now. I also don't want to be eaten by that. Again, if I was willing to risk death there, I'm willing to risk it now. Whatever. Who cares at this point, man? Take my other hand. You should have stuck the nub in there, Simon. Stick the nub in there, buddy. Keep it moving, big dog. Keep it moving. Hey, there it is. Did that thing just chop me in half? Bro. No. Go! Drop me! I don't even want to know what I look like at this point. I don't even want to know. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, just open the damn door. I mean, I can still walk, I guess. Stupid ass thing. Ugh. Sucks. Look, alright, here's the other thing. is this really blows ass. And because I killed the WoW, I essentially secured the fact that if I decide I want to kill myself, I can actually die. Like, if I'm in pain and this is awful and this just sucks and I can't do anything, if I want to find a way to just pop my helmet off and let the ocean floor crush my head, I don't got to worry about that WoW coming and finding me and turning me back on. So, all the more reason why I'm satisfied with my decision at this point. Oh, good. More of this shit.
This has to be fine, right? Hope the Ark made it here in one piece.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully there's no stompy boys around here, because your boy's in bad shape. I got a butthole to touch? Y'all know where I could get any more of them buttholes? Any more of them touchy buttholes? I don't know where I could get any more of that buttholes. Hey, Catherine! The hell just happened to me?
Chris, what the hell happened to your arm?
It's complicated. I just need to know one thing.
Ugh!
I'll have both my arms in the Ark, right?
Yes, of course. Are you okay, though? Can you do stuff?
Yeah. Let's just get this over with.
Did you find the Ark?
I did, but I kind of lost it on my way here on an automated tram thing headed to Phi. So it should be around somewhere.
That's great. Let's go get it.
I also went to Ark and I saw person I believe was Johan Ross, and I killed the WoW. Whatever, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter.
All right, Phi is up and running.
Thanks, Catherine. Boy.
Did you find out what happened to the Ark team?
Not really. For some reason, they didn't go through with the launch, so they took the Ark back to Tau.
I hope everything's okay with the space gun.
Yeah, I doubt I'll be able to repair one of those.
Would you mind maybe turning the lights down, Catherine? It's a little bright in here. Site map. Alright. Cool. OSG overview.
Is loaded into a shell. The shell is accelerated by electromagnets along the barrel. Enough momentum to escape Earth's gravity is gained before regression. Reaching space, the satellite will shed the shell and unfold. Onboard thrusters settle the satellite into an orbit.
Here's hoping the surface thing didn't get destroyed. Wait. Tunnel transport. Phi cargo bay. Contents Arc. Requires manual offload. Oh, it's here. Alright, cool. Staff activity incoming. Herbert, Peterson, Lindwall, Chun, Avashkin, Hill. Outgoing. Peterson, Lindwall, Avashkin, Hill. Not Chun. And not Herbert. Or... yeah, Chun and Herbert didn't leave. Okay. Unsigned R. Herbert visit. Launching Arc. One last visit. Interesting. Launch log. Week number 488. Project Tact SX. Owner Haimatsu. Type orbital platform freighter. Launch December 19th, 2102 at 1300 hours. Mission completed. Project Endo, Luna Prospects Remote Sensing Satellite launch. December 20th, 2103, 1330. Mission completed. Week number 489. Orbital Platform Freighter launch. December 26th, 2102, 1300. Mission complete. Project Reveal, Sino-Indian Federation, Type Communication Satellite launch. 12/27, 2102, 1300 hours completed. Week number 490, TACT SX. Orbital Platform Freighter, January 2nd, 2103, complete. AUG, Zentraler Deutscher Kern, Type Reconnaissance Satellite, launch January 3rd, 2103, 1300 hours, complete. Week number 491, Haimatsu Orbital Platform Freighter, launch January 9th, 2103, 1230, on hold. Project Carmen, Atmos Surveyor, Weather Satellite, January 11th, 2103, 1300 hours on hold. After 10 years of impeccable operation, the Omega Space Gun will shut down, but it took an apocalypse to be made redundant. Vic Auclair. Oh boy, that's fun. I gotta pee. I'm gonna go do that now that the lights are on, and then we'll keep going. I may have lost my arm, but I've got fruit snacks. Can't wait to go manually unload the Ark. I'm sure nothing's gonna go wrong either.
This feels like the longest day of my life. Has it just been one day?
I have no idea. Our time together is a confusing patchwork of moments to me.
What time is it then? What day?
It's May 11th, 2104, 3:30 a.m., but I don't remember when we started.
So all this shit happened 100 years ago. Or, no, 2104. This all happened last year. That chick was sitting up there in the life support for a year. I thought this was like hundreds of years ago. Wow. All this shit degraded this fast? Holy hell. A year ago. It's kind of cool that she could tell us.
I woke up in my bed today. It just happens to have happened 100 years ago.
Sounds like a riddle.
It does. I woke up in my bed today, 100 years ago. Who am I? Who am I?
Yeah, when jokes hurt a little too much. That is crazy to think about. I woke up in Toronto this morning, and now here I am 100 years
It's crazy
later
to
dealing
think
with
where
this
I
shit.
am. Not only is this the future, it's in the middle of the sea. I know nothing of this time or what the world looks like.
Not much to brag about now. Before the comet, I guess it was okay.
Yeah, better not oversell it. Might change my mind about the Ark.
You seriously not gonna tell me what happened to your arm?
I had to make a quick stop at Site Alpha to help kill the WoW.
What? How? Why?
Stop it from torturing the memory of humanity.
Okay, let's just get back to work.
What will you do when you get into the Ark? What's the first thing?
Make sure the Ark is safe, stabilize flight path, activate solar panels.
Oh, what's the first human thing you're gonna do?
Oh. Watch the clouds roll by? Does that count?
I'd say so.
I wish that video games would make a little prompt that would pop up on the screen that says, "You've exhausted all the dialogue that you can hear. Feel free to move on." Like, I don't want to miss anything. And I can't manually engage with her. All right. Oh yeah, trying to grab that ladder with the nub, huh? Do you think we'll get to be on the Ark, or will it be another copy deal? I don't know. If we can go, so here's the thing: is if we can go on the Ark, it's a copy, and again, you run the risk of which you do we get to engage with, because the Ark is going to think you transferred, and the you that didn't transfer is going to think that you got stuck. That's kind of a scary proposition. But again, I think that's part of why killing the WoW was so important, because if this Simon, okay, look, here's, oh man, here's what I hate about all this. And we're talking hypothetically, because I don't even know that we're going to have the option. This version of me isn't going to the Ark. That's the most important thing to realize about how this works. And it's why people killed themselves after the transfer. I understand why they did it. Because this version of me is gonna think that is gonna have to stay behind. Same with Catherine, if she copies herself. Like, we're gonna be here. This isn't an option of like whether you transfer and you get lucky and you flip the coin and you wake up. We're gonna be here. The version of me on the Ark is gonna think that I made it to the Ark, and both are true simultaneously. So the reality of this really sucks. It's why it's important to take into account me in that decision about whether to kill the WoW, because I'm gonna be here. And if that WoW gets a hold of me and keeps me alive and I'm a husk walking around those things like that, I don't want any part of that. So even if I get to be on the Ark, which is going to happen if I get copied and if the Ark works, that version of me is not going to know, or isn't going to have the consciousness of this version of me, which is going to remain behind. That's what sucks about this whole thing. It's why people really struggled with how existential that was to be copied and put on the Ark, and it's why they killed themselves, because they believed that it meant that you would transfer. But what it really meant is that the consciousness of you that wakes up on the Ark thinks that you transferred and is going to believe the continuity worked. But there was a consciousness of you that died when you committed suicide that would have had to stay, because the consciousness copies, it doesn't transfer. And I don't know that everybody in this environment really thought that through. But that's why I wanted to give this version of me the opportunity to die if he so chooses. Like, if this version of me wants to go outside and get eaten by that thing, go for it. If you want to go outside, take your helmet off, depressurize the cabin, and, you know, have it all squish your head in 2 seconds so that you're gone, I want him to have the option to make that choice. And with the WoW around, he would either be reanimated or wouldn't be given the opportunity, and that would really suck. So I have to think as if this isn't going to work. And then I have to ask myself, do I want a copy of me to wake up on the Ark and think that it transferred? In the same way that we believed that we transferred when we showed up here in the first place, in the same way that we believed we transferred when I showed up in the diving suit that I'm currently in. Or do I have Catherine transfer my consciousness to a computer, and then I just live in the computer with her until it dies? I mean, there's any number of things we might be able to do here, but it's a copy. It very well could be also that this Catherine, if she's loaded on the Ark, already knows that she's loaded on the Ark and already has come to terms with the fact that this version of her is going to stay. I don't know if she... I suppose she could copy herself twice, yeah. But... This is all very... complicated. Freight cranes can cause serious injury or death. Doesn't sound so bad. Hey, there's a butthole. Let's go. There's a butthole. Stick my arm in. Butthole, 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 butthole. Stick your arm in. Give me more live butthole. Thank you. Okay. Ah. I can see clearly now. Pressurized sample container. Energy pal. Alright. Feels good to run again. Warning, do not operate machinery without safeguard. Oh, he was able to glitch it. That's kind of cool. All right. Loading platform. Actually, let me see if there's anything I can do. Can I do something in this room? Ooh, neat. Do you think the Archumans still want to have children? I don't know that they can. I suppose they might feel the drive to have. I don't know. I mean, it's fascinating. I would love to know the answer to that.
Found the Ark.
Good job, Simon. Now we just need to find the assembly space so we can stuff the Ark into a shell.
All right, before we do that, I'm gonna go see what else I can plop this thing in. No! Jesus! That's Catherine. Guarantee you that's Catherine. Because she didn't leave the station. Yep. Guaranteed that's her.
Are you suggesting we keep it down here? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? Eternity among the stars, remember?
The people inside the Ark won't know the difference. We can just keep it down here, and we don't have to risk the Ark being shot through 5,000 meters of broken barrel, and then push through another 100,000 meters of a dust-filled atmosphere.
Will the casing stand all that pressure?
Well, the odds aren't great.
Catherine, say something.
I don't care what you think. I'm launching it.
No need to be like that. Let's just hang on to it for a while and think about it. We can launch it later.
No, that wasn't the deal. We made it to save them, to launch it. Out there, it's hope. Down here, it's a fucking terrarium waiting to die with the rest of us.
Come on, Catherine. It's not asking much. Let's just think about it before we risk the only hope humanity has to survive this hell.
No, we launch it today. This is my project, my Ark.
It's bigger than that. Don't you get it? It's not for you to decide. We're talking about the fate of mankind.
Get away from the Ark. I'm taking it.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna let you ruin this.
Stop it!
Guys, calm down.
Get away from me! No!
What the fuck did you do?
It was an accident.
Catherine, talk to me. Catherine.
Oh, God. Catherine,
Did you say something?
it's you. You had an accident.
What do you... Oh. You mean Catherine. Don't worry, it's better this way. did she die?
You got into a fight with your colleagues. They didn't want to risk launching the Ark. Thought it might not make it through the atmosphere.
They killed me?
I'm sure it was an accident. They were just trying to stop you from launching.
Wow. Oh, man. Would you want to know that? Look, this is what's nuts. I keep saying this, but this is what's nuts about this entire thing conceptually. Is if Catherine copies herself onto the Ark right now, she copies her consciousness as it currently is, meaning she knows. So now she's sharing the Ark with people that she knows were willing to kill her to stop her from doing something that was very important to her. Now those are, but there's a chance, actually I'm like 99% sure, that the consciousness of those people that's on the Ark were copied before they killed Catherine. So those copies that are on the Ark don't know that their bodies killed Catherine, but she knows. Oh my God. Okay? That is awful. That is awful. Because you can't unknow these things. It's not like Catherine could just turn it off, but she's dealing with the same people, but they're not the same people because those consciousnesses are not the ones that killed her. So in that sense, it would be better, I believe, for Catherine to not know that this happened. Now, again, I know that that's kind of inconsistent with things I say, like she should be allowed to have the information and should know the reality of it. But man, I don't know what benefit there is for her to know that. I really don't. Other than, I guess, if she wanted to make a decision of whether to copy herself onto the Ark now, if she's not already on there. But that's the trippy part about this whole thing. Is those people on the Ark are going to be like, Catherine, hello, what's up? Good to see you. And she's going to be like, you assholes murdered me for trying to launch this thing. That's wild, man. That's super wild. Look, here's what I was originally going to say before I had that thought about this whole thing. Is the entire foundation of all of this is flawed. In my opinion. The Ark doesn't save humanity. Like, they keep using this language as if the Ark is a means of perpetuating humanity, saving it, and all that stuff. And it is not. It is only a preservation of a handful of consciousness. It is a preservation of memory. It is not, these people are not able to propagate. This is not, again, it's not where this is going to land on Mars and then we're going to terraform Mars or whatever. Like, this is literally, it's over. So them killing Catherine, like them, you know, when they're like, to some extent, the people down here are correct. Whether the Ark is in space or whether the Ark is down here is essentially inconsequential. The only difference is how long the Ark is going to last. Like, Maybe you launch it into space and it lasts for a couple thousand years and everybody gets to live in harmony on the Ark, whatever that may mean. But eventually it's going to die. Because the materials that it's all made out of has a half-life. It's going to die at some point. Or do you leave it down here at the bottom of the ocean and just let it collapse? Arguably, here's what's even more crazy about this is, arguably, if you leave it at the bottom of the ocean, you potentially have more of an opportunity of preserving the Ark forever, if that's what you want, because of the WoW. Because if the WoW gets a hold of the Ark, it can keep it going, if we're to believe everything we know about the WoW. But does the WoW somehow infiltrate the Ark, cause problems? Like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about. But I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want the Ark to be forever. The Ark needs to have some level of finite life to it, because if it's forever, that's just terrible, miserable. It's a box of misery, and I don't want any part of it, as far as I'm concerned. But again, they killed Catherine here because it was on this false idea that you're preserving humanity through this. If you launch it through the gun and the Ark blows up, all right, human consciousness that's been loaded into it is gone. But humanity's gone anyway. So that conflict between her and the others really could be avoided if they would all just sit down and say, you know, all of this is totally scuffed. Like, humanity's done anyway. We're not actually saving humanity. What are we actually doing here? Because all of us are going to remain conscious down here. Like, we're giving ourselves in an alternative reality, essentially, a chance to perpetuate for a little while longer. But this is over. And I believe in some ways that this is very accurate, because I don't think humans would do well with actually grappling with the fact that it's over. I mean, think of how many sci-fi stories are built on the idea that humans attempt to preserve their species. And when you are absolutely certain that it's done, that we are not going to survive this, we are extinct, that wreaks havoc on people's biological drives and everything they think about what it is to exist. Now we're just playing God for a little while of like, hey, it'd be kind of cool to use a little bit of technology to have a utopia for a few thousand years, but that's it. And by the way, you're cooped up with all the same people in the Ark. It's not like new people show up. It's not like there's an Ark over here and an Ark over here and you go visit the other Arks. This is it. You got like, I don't know, 20 people on board, 100 people, doesn't matter. It's an incredibly limited amount of people that you're hanging out with for the rest of time. And they killed Catherine because of these weird ideas about what this actually is, not the reality of what it is.
How could they kill me?
Catherine.
I know I'm not an easy person to like. I just thought they trusted me.
Come on, don't do this to yourself.
Simon has some real discomfort with other people's discomfort. Simon doesn't do well when other people are having to grapple with reality and are trying to make sense of what it is that they went through. And he constantly tries to be Mr. Don't think that way. Let's find the bright side. Let's try to make this all rosy. Let's find a way in order to stuff this with a bit of cotton so it lands softer. That is not a particularly useful way to engage with people, particularly Catherine, who seems to be pretty invested in acknowledging reality. You are far better off just being curious about a person's experience and asking them about it and acknowledging their emotional experience than you are trying to soften the blow. Catherine never asked Simon to soften the blow. You got to be really careful with the way that you try to manage your own anxiety by mitigating the anxiety of other people. It becomes selfish. Simon is arguably selfish sometimes in the way that he tries to diminish Catherine's experience and get her to feel better. I think it's because of his own discomfort and inability to wrestle with the discomfort of it. I mean, that's some real shit to grapple with. That's real shit. That's not easy. You don't just process that immediately and all of a sudden feel better. Like, that's gonna take some time for her to have to think through.
Did you have friends in Toronto, Simon? Real friends?
There was some. Jesse, Sean, Kevin.
I always wanted a friend. Like a real one. Someone you'd never hold back with.
I'll be your friend.
Oh, pity friendship? Now I feel even worse.
I think I found the assembly space.
Oh, Catherine. It happens like that, friends. It happens like that. Your narratives can block you from interpersonal intimacy so fast if you are not careful. So she asks him about friends. She says she wishes she had somebody to connect with. Simon makes a suggestion, perhaps that they're friends or whatever, and she goes, oh, a pity friendship. That has nothing to do with what Simon just said. That has everything to do with Catherine's self-image. It has everything to do with the fact that she believes that she is unlikable. She just had the ultimate representation of that by learning that she was killed by the people around her. And so instead of opening herself up to the idea that it could be a pity relationship, but it also could be a meaningful one, she instead makes a decision about it. I'm not somebody people want to be friends with. So when she has an experience that misaligns with that, when Simon essentially makes this suggestion, she assimilates what he just said into her pre-existing expectation, which is for her to say, it's a pity friendship. Because that preserves the idea that she's unlikable and somebody who you can't connect with. So you have to be, when in Star Wars, when they say only the Sith deal in absolutes, there's some truth to that. Because when you make absolute decisions about who you are and what other people want, you really shoot yourself in the foot. That could have been a moment of like pretty cool connection between the two of them. Like, wow, we've really been through some shit, huh? And we haven't ripped each other's heads off. I don't want to kill you. You've frustrated me multiple times. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's been nice to have a companion here to go through this with. And I get a sense that you feel that too. I mean, I feel comfortable calling you a friend at this point. That could be really connective and awesome for them. Might be meaningful even if they get to the arc. Again, if we can even put ourselves on it. Because they can remember, hey, we went through some shit before we got here. But she just immediately thinks that it's a pity friendship, and that's her issue. That's not on Simon. That's her perpetuating something. It's her facilitating a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's sad when that happens. You really got to be careful of that kind of stuff, friends. You really got to be careful of it.
What do you see?
It's like a huge open shell, a bullet ready to be loaded.
That's great. All prepared for the Ark.
On it.
It also strips Simon's
Do you
autonomy.
think the Ark will make it through the atmosphere and into space?
It almost doesn't matter anymore. We just need to try. If we burn, we burn. If we're lucky, we just gave humanity a new chance, a whole new era. With the
No, we
Ark on us,
didn't.
maybe we have a few decades of power to keep it running. In space, we have thousands of years.
Still, one hell of a gamble, though.
This was never about certainty. It's about hope.
I'm kind of team leave it down here. Let's just get in the Ark. Let's enjoy Utopia for like 10 years and then let this place crumble. We're not going to know what's coming. We're in the Ark. As far as we know, we're all just hanging out. We're all just like, you know, we're just at strip clubs drinking our favorite beers and playing euchre with each other, having a really good time. And then all of a sudden just boop, like that, it's over. Nobody knows the difference. Instantaneous death, no awareness. That sounds pretty great. That sounds awesome. Thousands of years doesn't sound awesome. Like, I really, like, at this point, yeah, man, fuck it. Leave it down here. I don't want to launch it. Like, I kind of get it. And I actually wonder if that's what some of the people were thinking about. Maybe they were having reservations where they're like, you know, kind of, we got to live down here anyway. Kind of sucks to know that these people in the Ark are going to have to deal with this for thousands of years. That doesn't sound good at all. Again, when Catherine says this is giving humanity a new chance, no, it's not. This isn't going anywhere. It's only the Ark. If you told me, yeah, you're going to be on the Ark for 1,000 years, maybe 3,000 years, but then you're going to land on a planet. And when you land on that planet, we have the technology and the means prepared on the Ark to copy your consciousness into the living species of that planet so that you can then move forward and prosper on that planet, then I'm in. That sounds kind of cool. I could deal with 4,000 years of utopia knowing that on the other side of it is more novelty. That sounds kind of cool. Not the Ark is it. It was always the problem I had with the idea of heaven growing up. Is like, really? Like, that's it? That's the backstop? You go to heaven and that's it? Does it evolve? Does it change? Or are we all just walking through the same city for the last, for millions and billions of years in eternal life? Like, if you really think about that, if you really think about this Ark as the final stop, that sucks. So I don't know that I even want to launch this thing, but we're gonna. It's fascinating. This game has brought up so much cool shit. I just can't even stand it. Absolutely amazing. There's one thing I want to check before we come back down here. I have not, Swash. I'm familiar with the concept of the show, though. Oh, okay. Oh. It's a big decision to make here, chat. And again, the scary thing about this is we don't even know. We don't even know that the Ark works. Like, think about, think about this for 1 second. Think about your favorite video game. Think about a video game that's even very well optimized. There's bugs. There's no way there's perfect code in that thing. Like, what happens if there was a coding error and the Ark is literal hell? What if it's just pain and suffering? What if everybody wakes up in the Ark with locked-in syndrome? There's a lot of what ifs here that scare the shit out of me about this. Like, we're making a big leap of faith here that Ark even is what it's intended to be. These are the things you got to think about, man. If you're going to make this kind of decision, aren't you just not supposed to play only negative what ifs? I think it's important to play with what ifs when there is a real decision you have to make that is a big deal. I think it's okay to entertain some of them. Ultimately, you have to make a decision with your known variables, but it is important to make some considerations like that. You don't want to be naive. There is utility to what ifs. You don't want to engage with negative what ifs when there is data that suggests otherwise present to you. But when you have a lot of unknowns, you got to play the whole deck. Also, what is that? All right, load the shotgun shell. Payload detected. All right.
Is that it?
I'm really not that familiar with guns of any size. Oh, here we go. All systems say go.
Lock and load.
Contact up and we'll head out to the gun.
Holy shit, man. Taking this with me.
Now what?
Now we just need to get the shell into the gun and then, kaboom.
Aren't you forgetting something? How are you gonna get us on board the Ark? Don't we need to make another scan?
Oh, don't you worry. You don't operate something like the Omega space gun with your bare hands.
You mean it's a pilot seat? Like back at Omicron?
Yes, and we can use it to transfer you to the Ark while operating the gun. 2 birds and all that. Now, take the Omnitool and plug it in next to the seat and I'll guide you through the final steps.
We're not gonna transfer. That thing is gonna launch and I'm gonna be sitting in the chair. It's not gonna be a transfer. It's gonna be a copy. It's unbelievable how much these people have duped themselves into believing that it's a transfer. It's not. It's a copy. We have no data to support that it is a transfer. And if I'm Simon, I'm like, Catherine, it's a copy. Again, it doesn't even matter. If it was a transfer, it'd be nice, because I guess I know I'm not leaving. I'm not, like, because look, to one of the versions of myself, it is a transfer. To one of, to the copy of me that makes it on the Ark, it is a transfer. But to the me that is left behind, it was not. And the hope and excitement and opportunity that we keep thinking about for the people on the Ark continues to wash away the reality that my ass is going to wake up in that chair and I'm going to be looking down the barrel of a gun that just shot a bullet out into space, and I'm going to have to be like, now what? And the same thing's going to happen for Catherine. Yes, you do, Swash. Oh, man. Oh, man. Minor key. Ominous. It's red, which means some bad shit's gonna happen. I hate that I know how this is gonna go. I hate it. I hate knowing what's gonna happen here. This is the worst!
Oh. I'll never get used to that.
Guess you won't have to. Not after this is over.
Right. Have a seat.
She knows! She knows! The way she just said right, she knows. She knows damn well that her ass is staying in this TV screen and that she's going to be sitting here with me at the end of this. She knows. And like, look, here's the crazy part about all this is you might as well shoot it. At this point, you might as well shoot it because I'm stuck here regardless. So you might as well shoot it. Give the other me a chance, I guess. I mean, because you're stuck down here no matter what, so.
Comfortable?
As good as it's gonna get.
Okay, I'll activate the seat. You should be able to use the machines to load the bullet you assembled.
How do you operate this thing?
Don't know, I never tried this one. But pilot seats are notoriously easy to use, so it shouldn't be a problem.
All right, easy girl, don't drop it. Because man, if my dumbass drops this, that would really be something, huh?
There we go.
Okay, ready when you are. Just hit the button and we're off.
But we need to transfer our minds to the Ark.
We also need to make sure it launches at all, so I tied them to a single switch. Just push the button and we're off. What are you waiting for?
Just bracing myself.
Well, push the button when you're done.
Here we go. No turning back.
Thank you, Simon.
Don't mention it.
It's an amazing thing you did. And I want you to know I appreciate it.
Time, 20 seconds.
What's the matter with the upload?
Just give it a second.
Thought you guys would have better bandwidth in the future.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6.
You gotta be kidding me!
4, 3, 2.
Yes! Fuck yeah, we made it! Woo! I'm still here. I'm still here. Catherine? Catherine?
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No. We were getting on the Ark. I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Simon, I can't keep telling you how it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
No, This is bullshit. We came all this way. We launched the Ark.
I know it sucks, but our copies are up there. Catherine and Simon are both safe on the Ark. Be happy for them.
Are you crazy? We're gonna die down here with those fuckers living at large on a spaceship. They're not us. They're not us.
Oh, man. Oh. It was never a coin toss. It's not a coin toss. It never was. We've seen it happen twice. I mean, if there is any critique I have for this game, it would be Simon's lack of critical thought on this. We heard, or we saw logs of the Simon Jarrett that continued in Toronto after we woke up underwater. We heard the Simon Jarrett sitting in the seat after we transferred to the diving suit say, wait, what the hell? It didn't work. We are now having the same experience as the Simon Jarrett that woke up in the chair in the dive suit room. We are now having the same experience as the Simon Jarrett that woke up in Toronto with David Munchie in the office with him. It's not about a transfer. Hope is a very, very powerful force. Hope is important, but it is also dangerous. Because no matter how much you want to engage with hope, you also have to engage with reality. One of the core things that faith and hope do to people psychologically is they push them toward confirmation bias. And that is not always a conscientious process. Simon wanted to believe that he was going to be put on the ark, so he listened to certain words and data more than other data. He listened to the word transfer, despite the fact that we have data that I just discussed that tells us it's a copy. This was always going to be his reaction. Because he was always going to still be sitting in this seat after he shot the bullet. I mercy killed the Simon that's sitting up at Omicron who thought that he was getting transferred to the suit because of this exact experience. As I've said, every kill in this is mercy killed. But to get back to my point, this is where hope and directive, it is manipulative, but that's the point, Fraz. You're correct. Using the word transfer is manipulative, but it is also something that Simon is party to because he turned off his critical thought. Simon didn't ask questions. He didn't engage with the ambiguity of all of this. Simon latched on to the idea and he went with it. And Catherine, yes, Catherine has had an agenda this whole time. Her agenda this entire time has been launch the Ark. And so she has said things to him like transfer. But this is why your eyes and ears are so important. You have to work with data. You have to work with known variables. When people try to push you outside of that and get you to question those things, you're in an incredibly vulnerable state. I'm not suggesting that Catherine gaslit Simon. I don't believe she did. I do think that Catherine was pretty clear about her agenda, and she did use some manipulative words. But if Simon took a second to think about it, if he sits there and says, you know what, all in the same day, there were 2 times where I thought, if Simon hadn't had the experience of the transfer to the power suit or to the diving suit, and he hadn't seen the log of himself in Toronto, then it would make total sense to me why Simon would believe that he was going to be transferred here. And I would be a lot more critical of Catherine, because I would be like, yo, that was pretty shitty that you didn't tell him what was going to happen. It was why I was kind of mad at her when we did the dive suit. But at this point, Simon's party to this. Simon has chosen to ignore a synthesis of the experience that he had in order to engage with what was going to happen here. And again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he's stuck down here no matter what. So the only decision to be made here is, do you launch the Ark or do you not launch the Ark? But you're here anyway. That's the reality of the situation. Like, we didn't actually lose anything here. That's the amazing part of this. We didn't lose anything here. It was never going to be a transfer. But Catherine hitting him with the, you know how this works, and calling it a copy in hindsight, not great. It means she knows. So again, she was manipulating him. She does have power. But Simon also had experiences and had the opportunity to get data that runs in contrary to her agenda. And his unwillingness, or I don't want to say inability, I would say more his unwillingness to engage with that as a means to create a more complex story about what's happening here is part of why he's so distressed right now. Because if he had engaged with the reality of this, he would have said, I know this is going to be a copy, and I am very well aware that I'm going to be sitting in this chair at the end of this. The consciousness of me that's on the Ark isn't going to know any different, but I'm going to be sitting here. So that when this happens and he fires the bullet off and he's still sitting here, he goes, yep, I knew that would happen. In the same way that I was sitting here going, yep, I knew that would happen. Reality is important, friends.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Simon. I'm proud of what we did. We made sure that something of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history survives, that something lives on.
No. Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck you, Catherine. You lied. And I believed in you. I trusted you. You said we're getting on the fucking Ark.
We are on the Ark, you idiot. I didn't lie. I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance. You
Fuck!
And now you just disengaged with the only connection you had. Yep. Idiot.
Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
Oh, man. I'm kind of with Catherine on that one. And then, man, he just impulsively punches that thing, overloads and short circuits that, and now he's got to be by himself. Well, if I'm him, I'm taking my helmet off. Bye-bye, head. But it's for him to decide. Wow. As always, we're going to watch the credits. We're listening to my own music because I don't want to get DMCA'd, but wow. Hats off for a sad ending. I admire game developers that are willing to have an ending like that. It's so good. Oh, man. What a great game. I don't know how long these credits are going to be. Probably not super long. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for being along for the ride with me on this. I'm going to see if there's an after credits scene here. Kind of hope there is.
Whoa. Is this... Did it work? This art currently brought to you by a 2080 Ti. Calibration Survey version 0.3. Welcome! If you're reading this, you've successfully entered the ARC. This survey is designed to give the developers a better understanding of your subjective experience and how to improve your well-being. Please continue with the survey. How would you describe your physical condition? I still say I feel alien. How would you describe your mental condition? I definitely feel altered. How would you describe your senses? More sensitive to and aware of my surroundings, I think. How would you describe the sensation of your new condition? I mean, compared to what I just was, it's pleasant. Are you troubled by the fact that you're no longer strictly human? Somewhat. How do you perceive your new existence? Direct continuation of my previous self. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's like that. Maybe like a new chapter in my life, actually. You think this new existence will be a life worth living? Maybe. Would you rather be removed from the project and accept death? I gotta think about it. Your answers have been saved. Thanks for participating. No percentages? Oh boy. Yeah, imagine if you got this first. This would be, you're like, oh cool, it worked, and then zooms back. It's just kind of interesting because this Simon has no idea that that happened. Although he theoretically should know that that happened. He would know that there was a Simon left behind on this. He's just, but if he duped himself into believing it's a transfer, then maybe not. But if he really sits down and critically ponders this, he's gonna have to come to the conclusion that he left himself there. Oh man. It would have been funny if we woke up in a cart and it was just Skyrim started.
Catherine? Catherine! I can't believe we actually made it.
Well, we did.
I'm so relieved.
It's okay, Simon. Everything's all right now.
Bravo, man. Bravo. I'll talk a little bit about my experience here before I sign off. But before I do that, I just want to say, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. I really hope that you enjoyed this journey as much as I did. This is A+. A+. Those of you that have been watching this live on Twitch with me throughout the playthrough, thank you so much as well for engaging with me throughout the playthrough. It's a lot of fun to have people along for the ride. I encourage you to watch my other playthroughs on YouTube if this happened to be your first one. And please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and all that fun stuff. Those of you that have also financially support me along the way, thank you for doing that. It really does make a difference, and I am grateful for it. Wow. This is really, this is truly a incredible experience. I really can't think of much criticism for it. Simon's naivete, I think, is even a bit explainable, albeit very sad. What a cool leap. Like I love when studios are willing to play with ideas, when they're willing to like push the limits. Like this feels very much like in the same vein. Many of you know my favorite movie of all time is Inception. This falls in that same vein. It's unique. It's well thought out. It asks really difficult questions. And I love that. We get to think, we get to engage our brain in a meaningful way. It's a reminder that we really don't have the answers. And I think that's cool. So I appreciate the kind things that y'all are saying in chat and the kind things that y'all have said in the comments, but I mean, the explanation for Simon's naivete is what I was saying, is that I think he wanted to believe that it was a transfer. I think the reality of a copy is something that was very difficult for him to grasp. So he leaned into, he blames Catherine. He says, I trusted Catherine. And to an extent, she's culpable for this. But I think Simon's own hope, I think he bought into the hype. And I think he was willing to overlook Data as a result of that. It's sad. But it's the reality of it. And so he overlooked a lot of what it was that was going to be the case there on that launch. So I've seen a couple people in chat say that it could be because Simon's got brain damage and he was a damaged scan, but I don't... If Simon's TBI was the explanation, his ignorance would have been consistent in certain ways throughout the playthrough. You wouldn't just have Simon ignorant to this one very specific aspect of what it is that he's dealing with. So I have a hard time getting on board with the idea that part of Simon's issue here and why he was so angry when the thing launched and he was still conscious is because he had a TBI. Because we would have seen other cognitive issues with Simon throughout the playthrough that we just didn't see. So that's a hard one for me to subscribe to. I think for me, it's more that he was just the harshness of the reality of the situation is hard for anybody to grasp. I mean, it would have been hard for anybody. Because again, this isn't about saving humanity. Humanity's done. Our survival directive as a species is moot point. So, I mean, think of how many humans you know who don't like to engage with the reality of the limitations of existence in the first place. Think of how many humans you know who deny things that are going to be the demise of humanity, like climate change and all that stuff. And now imagine that it's actually over. Right? Like, you're not going to have people that all of a sudden come around to that and go, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, humanity is going to have to be brute forced into acknowledging its demise. We've already shown that. So the needs of the collective are intersecting with the needs of the individuals involved in this project, and they had to tell themselves certain stories in order to continue on. It's very similar to some of the themes of Horizon Zero Dawn. But the question this really asks, aside from who are you, is what does humanity do when it realizes it's over? What are the stories we tell ourselves to try to perpetuate the notion that our existence still matters? Because in reality, like in the grand scheme of the universe, we really don't. We are minuscule.
We are a drop of water in the ocean. But our subjective experience doesn't allow us to go there. So what happens when reality forces you to think about these things? Do you jump into your foxhole? Or do you open yourself up to the idea that our existence and the meaning of it really only extends as far as our subjective experience and willingness to engage with it? These are scary questions for a lot of us to entertain. And it's why I'm so grateful that so many of you were willing to be along for the ride with me on this. Because these are questions that scare people. These are questions that make people uncomfortable. These are questions we don't have the answer to. At the end of the day, like, the thing that you have is the control over the decisions you make. That's what you have. And exert that influence where you can. You know, but what is the, is life worth living if the quality sucks? If you're stuck in a robot at the bottom of the ocean, does you living for another 30 years really ideal? Like, at what point is continuing to exist worthwhile? And we all have different limits on that. To what extent do we like to have control over our narratives and the way that we perceive the world? To what extent are we willing to relinquish control and lean into the idea that we don't actually know the answers? Amazing. It's really good stuff. It's really good stuff. So, if any of the developers for this game happen to be watching this playthrough, I am super honored if that is the case. Big shout out to you for creating this. I really enjoyed playing it. To any other game developers that might be watching this, if you like my thoughts on these games and you want me to be involved at some point in how you think through your game making process, by all means, hit me up. drmicklive@gmail.com. But if you enjoyed this is what we do on every playthrough. I encourage you to watch my other playthroughs on YouTube, and I'm grateful that you gave this one a shot. So please, before you leave, make sure you leave a like and make sure that you leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the playthrough. Give me your thoughts. What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Are there any points that I might have made that really stood out to you? Or are there any differences in how you might have decided to do something? I invite all of those comments. I don't respond to every comment, but I do read them all. So would love to read some comments on this as it gets posted in many years into the future. So I appreciate you all, and I'll catch you on the next one.